Welcome to today's episode of the Mindset Mentor Podcast. I'm your host, Rob Dial. Today, we're going to be talking about how to manifest the life that you want, how to use the law of attraction. We're going to talk about manifestation. We're going to talk about the law of attraction. And, I understand because I'm a very analytical person, but I'm also a very spiritual person. So I kind of dance in both realms. So if you're very spiritual, this is going to make sense to you, but I'm also going to help you be more grounded in this reality to help you out more. And if you're more analytical, I'm also going to show you through some science and through everything of like how to actually use this without feeling like it's too out there, right? You don't need to go out and buy any crystals. You don't need to pray to the moon gods or whatever people do. You just have to, be based here in reality. I'm going to teach you how to use this. And the reason why I wanted to do this is Lauren and I, my wife, were having a conversation the other day. And I just said to her, I go, yeah, well, I just get what I want. And I'm not saying that from like, ooh, look at me, I'm so cool, I just get whatever I want. It's the reason why I say is because the opposite of what I want doesn't exist in my reality. That's a piece that we're going to be talking about today, which is the opposite of what I want does not exist in this reality. Therefore, I will get whatever it is that I want. And that is the belief that you need to have in whatever it is that you're trying to create in your life. If you want to run a really successful business, that business failing does not exist in this reality. That's how you have to get all 40 trillion of your cells on board to work towards that thing. It's not that I don't focus on it's not that I don't focus on what I don't want. It's that it doesn't exist in my mind. Like it's not here. And so, whenever I've done something, I've put 100% of myself into something. That's just something that I've learned along the way. Have I always been this way? Absolutely not. When I was younger, I was always fearful and didn't put 100% anything. I always had like a backup plan. I always kind of, when I played basketball, when I would shoot, it wasn't like I was shooting to make it. I was always shooting and hoping I didn't miss it. And that's kind of how I lived my entire life up until I started learning about what it's like to get your mind, your body, your soul all on board to go towards a mission and to actually work for something. And so really what you want to think about and take a step back before we dive into it today is, are you focusing on what you want or are you focusing on what you don't want? Because all too often people want to create the life that they want, but they're always focusing on what it is that they don't want. And so when you look at the law of attraction, you look at manifestation. Law of attraction, basically what it is, it's a universal principle that says that you can attract into your life whatever it is that you focus on, whatever it is that you believe in, and whatever it is that you really feel deeply about. And it's based on the idea that everything in this universe is made up of energy. So this chair that I'm sitting in, this microphone in front of my face, this camera that's in front of me, all of these things are made up of energy. They seem solid, but if you zoom into them, they're not. It's just, if you zoom into my hand seems like it's solid, but it's not. If you were to put it under a microscope, you would see it's just trillions of little cells moving around at constant vibration, at constant energy. And so when you realize that the desk in front of me, the microphone, my hand, the chair I'm sitting in are all energy, then you also start to realize, well, what else is made of energy? Well, you are made of energy. If I'm made of energy, then you're also made of energy as well. But here's another important thing that people don't talk about. Your thoughts are made of energy. Your feelings are made of energy. Your emotions are made of energy. What thoughts, feelings, emotions are you sending out into the universe past your, meat suit that your meat suit's just barely hanging on, right? You just have this little epidermis, this little skin that's just holding you in place from just going all over, right? And so we think to ourselves, oh, well, this is me because my skin ends here, and this is the rest of the world because my skin is not there. And it's like, no, your energy goes out into the world. There's machines it's kind of crazy. There's machines, I believe it's called an MEG machine. So there's EEG machines, if I'm not mistaken. Those are the ones where you put electrodes on your head. There's an MEG machine where it's actually, it goes on the outside of your head, around your head, and they measure your brain waves without ever actually touching your skull. So with an MEG machine, it's like a helmet that never touches your head, and they can measure your brain waves outside of your head, which shows you that your brain waves, your thoughts, don't stay contained inside of your body, inside of your skull. Everything that you think, everything that you do, everything that you feel is sending a signal out into the world. It's just a different vibration for everything. And so the more that you think about something or feel about something, the more energy you're putting into the universe. And the more that you have a very heightened sense of emotion around something, the more energy that's actually going out to the universe. When you say there's a lot of energy around this thing. When you think this, is there a lot of energy around it or less energy? Oh, there's a lot of energy around this. So a lot of times people are sitting there and they have so much energy that they're putting into, I don't want this to happen. I don't want this shitty life. I don't want them to break up with me. I don't want my husband to leave me. I don't want something bad to happen to me. I don't want something bad to happen to my family. And they're putting so much emotional and physical and thought energy into it that's literally like the signal that they're sending out into the world. That's the bat signal that they're sending out to the world. And like attracts like. So when you emit a certain energy, you will attract that certain energy back to you. Experiences, people, opportunities, all of that. You can emit the frequency of this is exactly what I want, and you will attract back to you exactly what you want. Or you can emit, oh, this is not what I want, this is not what I want, this is not what I want. And when you put a lot of energy, you will attract whatever it is that you're focusing on, which is what you don't want. This is why it's so important to stop thinking about what you don't want and to spend more time thinking about what you want. Now, this isn't to be like, I hate when people are like, oh, just be positive, just be positive. I'm not saying just be positive. What I'm saying is the negative will start to go away when you focus on what it is that you want. Not to like turn a blind eye to the negative, but to focus on whatever it is that you want, the positive in your life, because what you focus on expands. And what you do is you put as much energy into that as possible. So you can have a thought around something. Okay, this is what I want. Well, can we also put the emotional charge of that into it as well? Knowing that the stronger the emotion, the more likely you are to get it. And the key here is basically to align your conscious and your subconscious mind, your mind and your body, and raise your vibration to the frequency of whatever it is that you desire. You know, if you are tuned into 98.7 FM, you will hear 98.7 FM in your car radio. You won't hear an FM station. And so can you tune your mind, your conscious and your subconscious mind to be on the same page and to be focused towards attaining this one thing that you want? Your conscious mind is the rational, analytical part of your mind that thinks, it reasons, it decides. Your subconscious mind is the emotional, intuitive part of your mind. It stores your beliefs, it stores your memories, your habits, and it runs 95% of your daily life. So if you're going to want to manifest something, if you're going to want to use the law of attraction, you first have to believe that it's possible. And not only that it's possible, you have to know with, like I said, all 40 trillion of your cells that it will happen, right? And then you impress this belief into your subconscious through repetition, through visualization, through affirmations and other techniques. That way your subconscious will start to guide your thoughts, your feelings, and your actions towards that goal. And if you do this correctly, you'll start to attract the right people, the right situations, the right resources into your reality. And it's real weird. All of these synchronicities start to pop up. And the way that I first found the law of attraction was back in 2007. And it was from the movie The Secret. And I remember watching it. And at the time I went to the University of South Florida. And man, it was so hard to find parking every single day. It would take like 20 minutes to find parking. The school was growing way faster than they had the capacity to. So there was never any parking anywhere. It was so hard to find parking. I thought to myself, all right, let me try this law of attraction thing out. I'm just going to attract the perfect parking spot up front. And on the ride over, it was about a 25-minute drive to school. You know, I'm like 20 years old, 21 years old. I'm like, I'm going to get the perfect parking spot. And I'm driving to school and I get to school and I drive up front. And as I'm pulling in, a car pulls out in the front and I took their spot. And I was like, no, there's no way. That's just a coincidence. There's no way. No, that's dumb. So then I take that spot. And the next day I'm like, you know what? I'm going to do it again. I'm going to believe with every fiber of this is going to happen. I'm going to have a parking spot. I'm going to get that parking spot. And I go up to the front, freaking parking spot up front. I'm like, no, there's not. Maybe. Shit. Maybe. Shit. Maybe. No, there's no way. This isn't real. There's no way. But cool. Coincidence. Another, just two coincidences in a row. Next day, whatever it was that I went to school like Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And I go to school. I start to get a little bit more energy towards it, a little bit more heightened. I'm starting to believe a little bit more. I'm starting to be like, shit, maybe there's something behind here. And maybe this actually works. I'm going to believe. Come on, you can do it. We're going to get that parking spot. Pull in, parking spot's open. I'm like, no fucking way. There's no way. Like there's no way. This is the dumbest thing I've ever seen. Is it possible is it possible? Like, I'm super skeptical, but is it possible that I might actually be changing the world around me through my thoughts and my beliefs? And it started kind of getting me into it. And it started working for me. And I was like, I'm believing it more. And then you fast forward like 6 years later, the way I got to Austin, Texas is I saved up for, about a year at a job I was working in 2012. And then in 2012, I quit that job. I went in backpack Europe for 3 months. And then I moved to Austin. And I had never been here before, nothing, but I was like, I'm just going to move to Austin. And I moved here. And obviously I had, used my money over the 3 months of backpacking. I used my money to move here. And I was working off of savings as I was trying to find a job before, I ended up leaving that job later on down the road. But I was trying to find a job. And I was talking to my mom. And she's like, and this is a true story. And every time I tell a story, it sounds like bullshit. Because I can't, if I heard somebody tell this story, I'd be like, I don't know about that, dude. And so I'm literally talking to my mom and she's like, well, are you starting to run out of money? And I was like, yeah, I've only got like a few $1,000s left. And she's like, well, aren't you afraid? Her exact words were, aren't you worried that you're going to run out of money and have to come back home? So I'm from Florida. I was in Texas, right? And I was like, no. She goes, you're not worried? And I go, no. And she goes, why not? And I go, because worry is not going to attract what I want into my life. Worry is the wrong frequency. I have to know that I'm going to make this work. And I'm telling you right now, I am going to make this work. Somehow, some way, I don't know what it is, but I do trust with like every ounce of energy and cell in my body that this is going to work. And I kid you not, it was like 2-3 days later, we get a call on my phone. I answer the phone, I'm driving my car, and it was the HR lady at the company that I had quit almost a year ago. And she's like, hey, Rob, how's everything going? I was like, oh, everything's going great. Nice to talk to you. I knew her pretty well. And she goes, hey, are you driving your car right now? And I go, yeah. She goes, could you pull over? I was like, okay. And she's like, got something to tell you. I was like, okay. And she goes, I think you're gonna be pretty excited. She goes, so our accounting software that we were using about a year before you left made a bunch of mistakes. And we actually did commissions pretty wrong for a lot of the salespeople. I was like, okay. And she goes, we actually owe you some money. And I was like, okay, how much do you owe me? And she's like, we owe you like $23,000 something. And it was like right around $23,000. And I was like, you owe me $23,000? She goes, yeah. So do you still have the same bank account? I'm going to make sure I wire that money over to you. I was like, yes. She sent it over. And I was like, holy shit. I just had a conversation with my mom about you don't attract something into your life if you're worrying about not having it. I knew I was going to get it, and somehow this came to me. Was it a coincidence? I don't know. But it feels like all of this is right. That's what I'm going to tell you, right? And so my mom always says, she's like, I don't get it. You always get what you want. Like how the hell do you always get what you want? And I was like, I feel like since I've identified this and since I've understood that everything is energy, that it's like a dance with the universe. Like I'm just dancing with the universe. And I feel like I get a little bit of I don't feel like I've mastered this thing or like I'm a friggin' manifestation specialist, whatever the fuck that means. So many people online are like, I'm a manifestation specialist, right? Like, so it's like, all right, cool, whatever. If that's what makes you feel good, right? But for me, it's like, I don't want to act like I know I'm in charge of the universe. All it feels like is I'm like a little bit of a dance. And what I do know is that when I get my thoughts, my feelings in alignment and focusing on that thing, I am more likely to get that thing. And it's like I start to notice people, opportunity, places, things popping up into my life, synchronicities that help me in getting to where it is that I'm trying to go. And so when it's focusing, I don't even like using the word want when I say this is, when you want something, because to want something means that you are coming from a place of lack, right? And so I focus what I'm absolutely certain will happen. And then here's the last piece that most people don't talk about. You don't just sit around and meditate and then just life just gives you everything that you want, right? If you're like, oh, I want to manifest the perfect partner, I'm going to sit around and meditate for 12 hours a day and never leave my house. They're not going to come knocking at your door, right? Like you've got it. The part that I think is the biggest piece that's left out of the law of attraction is the law of action. Like you've got to know with absolute certainty, your mind, your body, your soul, your conscious, your subconscious, all 40 trillion cells, I'm getting this. But then you've got to work your ass off. Winners win. And you've got to know winners win, I'm a winner. right? The opposite of what I want literally does not exist in my reality. We are all creators and we are creating at every single moment. If you focus on what you want, you will create more of what you want. If you focus on what you don't want, you will create more of what you don't want. Think about that for a second. I always use the example because it was just like this big aha moment in my life of, the friend of mine. We went to his birthday party and there was a guy who had a go-kart. You've heard me tell this story before if you listen to this podcast. If you haven't, it was a friend of mine's birthday and we went to go do go-karts, and we were driving these go-karts around. They were teaching us how to do it. And the guy he was fun, he was great, and he got really serious. And he said, if there's a crash in front of you, don't look at the crash. And we're like, okay, cool. And he goes, no, if there is a crash in front of you, do not look in the crash. Do not look at the crash. Look past the crash of where you want to go. Because if one of your friends gets in a crash and you hit them, there is an opportunity and a chance that you could kill them. So if somebody crashes in front of you, which will 100% happen, look at where you want to go, not where the crash is. And I was like, man, that's such a great metaphor for life, where it's like we look at the crash, at the crash, at the crash, at the crash. I don't want this, I don't want this, I don't want this, I don't want this. Versus like, why don't you look at where you want to go? Everything is energy. You can sense energy is all around you. I've never met somebody who was able to get what they wanted to in life, but felt really negative energy around them. It always felt like there was something that was right about them, right? Have you ever met somebody though that like had a really bad energy? Like you don't know why. They said the right things, but for some reason it just felt wrong. And then later on down the road, you realize why it felt wrong. Well, the same energy that you're picking up from them is the same energy that you're putting out to the universe, that you're putting out to everything. You will get what you focus on. You've got to focus on what it is that you want. The problem is most people focus on what they don't want. It takes time to get used to. I get it. I've been doing this for a long time and been working on it. And once again, I don't feel like I've perfected anything. I've picked up little pieces of how it works, and I'm trying to explain it to you as I'm putting the pieces together. But really what it comes down to is, what if all of it is real? What if you can attract whatever it is that you want into in your life? Basically by putting your thoughts, your feelings, your emotions, your mind, body, soul, your conscious and your subconscious mind towards just what it is that you want. And by that, you can attract what you want. Try it out. Let me know how it goes. So that's what I got for you for today's episode. If you love this episode, please share it on your Instagram stories. Tag me in it, Rob Dial Jr., ROBDIALJR. And with that, I'm going to leave it the same way I leave every single episode. Make it your mission to make someone else's day better. Make it your mission to make somebody else's day better. I appreciate you, and I hope that you have an amazing